Welcome to the OK Book Club, where we dive into books, stories, people, and tons of different topics. And today is one of those tons of different topics. Addition strategies, both for adding one-digit numbers to each other and when we're adding two-digit numbers to each other. This is both for parents and children. Young children, we're basically talking about first grade, second grade. And for parents, this is going to be helpful for you because especially a lot of adults that have children will talk about this new math. And a lot of times they weren't exposed to this. So everyone, this is great for, again, whether you're 8 or 88, grandparents as well. Listen, I wanted to do this episode because still to this day, I have trouble adding numbers in my head. Why? Because I was only taught one strategy is how to add numbers, especially two-digit numbers. I'll add the ones in my head and I'll carry them over. Right? That's all I remember. And in my head, I can't visualize it. I'm adding 8 plus 9, and that's 17. Oh, so I got to remember the 7s into one place, and I got to bring the 1 over into the 10s place. And meanwhile, then I'll add the 10s, and I forget what the 1s was. All right, I'm laughing, and you may be laughing at me when you're hearing this, but I'm sorry, right? We're all the same. We're all different. So parents especially, to expose your children to different strategies on how to add at a very early age. Our brains all work in different ways. And yes, exposing them to each strategy, and then ultimately at the end, you say, well, just choose one, right? That can work for a lot of children, and they'll latch on to one. And ultimately the goal, parents, is to be able to do all this in your head. I'm telling you, that's the goal, because they'll be quicker, they'll be more confident in every sense of the word when it comes to math. Too often you'll hear adults say, oh, I'm not good at math. Nope, it's just like anything else. It's learned strategies, learned skills, and it's not about whether or not you just have a number sense or you don't. I disagree with that 100%. And again, one more final point on this. A lot of people will say, yes, just teach them one strategy. This is just confusing them. And there is a point to that. I've seen that with teaching a lot of children, where if I just teach them one strategy, they'll get that, and that'll be the end. But again, if you don't explore and you don't open up different strategies for all the children, then there's a lost opportunity there. I sincerely believe that. So again, just to wrap up this point, parents, a lot of us, including me, were taught with what we call the traditional algorithm, where you add ones and then you carry a 10 or multiple 10s into the tens column and you add them up. But think about this. What do you need to do? You need to put these numbers one on top of another, right? Where ultimately a lot of times you'll have the numbers that will be next to each other. So ultimately this, in my opinion, again, you have to put this on paper, and ultimately the goal is to be able to add numbers in your head. So let's start off with one-digit numbers. First and foremost, it's memorizing your math facts. Memorize, memorize, memorize. That will go a long way to alleviating a lot of the issues. But still, ultimately, when you get to larger numbers, these strategies will really help. When I say larger numbers, definitely as you go into two-digit numbers. But at least for now, with your children, have them memorize their math facts. But along with that, as you're in first grade and definitely as you enter second grade, let's take a look at some of these strategies. And pause the video here, parents and children, and get out a paper and pencil so you can write this down so you can see this. Okay, first strategy. It doesn't matter the order. And when you add two numbers together, each of those numbers are called addends. The total of the addends added together is the sum. So, it doesn't matter the order. Believe it or not, for a lot of kids, they'll look at 3 plus 5. So write down 3 plus 5, boys and girls. You look at that and you say, well, I don't know. That's a tough one. Well, turn it around. 5 plus 3. Oh, I know 5 plus 3. Right? So, if initially in your head it doesn't make sense, just turn it around and that may help. Strategy 1, it doesn't matter the order. Strategy 2, doubles facts. Use doubles facts. So let's write down 7 plus 6. Oh, no. 6, 7, 6, 7. Mr. O'Keefe, 6, 7. All right. For Pete's sakes. Don't use 6 and 7. Use 8 plus 9. Let's write down. Let's write down 8 plus 9. I'll actually just start this and I'll give it right back to the kids. I'll say 2 plus 3. 2, 3, 2, 3. And they're like looking at me like, no. And I say, yeah, I gotcha. All right. So you got to have fun with this. 8 plus 9. This doubles facts will work a lot with numbers that are right next to each other. So what do? You take usually the higher number. So an 8 plus 9, if you write that down, boys and girls, take the higher number, 9 plus 9. Well, if you know 9 plus 9, that's 18. So then you just take away 1. So 8 plus 9 is 17. You could do the other number. Right? If you know 8 plus 8, 8 plus 8 is 16. Then you got to add one more, right? So that's 17. So again, parents, doubles facts can be helpful because kids know their doubles facts. They know 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2. Keep going, right? 5 plus 5, 6 plus 6. They know these rather than the 8 plus 9s and yes, the 6 plus 7s, the 4 plus 5s. They know the doubles facts better. So even if it's, let's say, 6 plus 8, then you add 8 and 8, that's 16. They know that, but you got to take away 2. Why? Because it's not 8 plus 8. It's 6 plus 8. And 6 is 2 less than 8. That's why we're taking away 2 from 16. So I hope that makes sense. Next, one-digit addition strategy. And this, again, this is not something you can do in your head, in my opinion. You got to write it down. But nevertheless, early on, why not, for our children that are struggling with this, make an open number line. So actually write an arrow down on a piece of paper, going from left to right, and if you're adding 7 plus 9, write the higher number down on the number line first. And then in that case, you write down 9, and then you scoop or jump 7 times. And then obviously you'll end up at 16 on the number line. Again, ideally, this is something you probably want to introduce first because going forward, it's just going to be too difficult to do in your head for skip counting. And yes, ultimately it's another strategy, but there's too many, like I said, too many avenues to make mistakes. Okay. The last strategy is called make a 10. Go to the nearest 10. So again, boys and girls, write down 7 plus 9. Let's turn 7 plus 9 into 10 plus something. This works, parents, best when you have one of your numbers that's close to a 10. So you can go there and then on the other side with the other number, you can adjust it. So how will this work? Well, if you write 7 plus 9 down, children, let's move the higher number to 10. So how do we get from 9 to 10? We're going to add 1. So if we add 1 to the 9 on the other side with the 7, we have to take away 1. So 7 minus 1 is 6. So we have now just turned 7 plus 9 into 10 plus 6. Let's do another example. Children, write down 6 plus 8. Which number is closest to 10? The 8. So let's add 2 to 8 to get to 10. So if we add 2 to one side, we have to subtract 2 from the other number. 6 minus 2 is 4. So what is 6 plus 8? It's the same as 4 plus 10, which, again, adults, the kids can do these equations, these two numbers added together quicker if you've got a 10 there. So 4 plus 10 is 14, so 6 plus 8 is 14. And again, I've relayed this point so many times. The goal for adding numbers, even though they may have already memorized them, I would argue you want to actually have these strategies in your head along with memorizing them, but maybe even before. 2 more strategies. One that we'll be talking a lot about in our next episode when you're adding 2 two-digit numbers, and that's break apart one of the numbers. So if you have 8 plus 5, always start with the higher number. Again, it's my opinion, but it will help, right? And especially if you have an even number, this will work better. So if you have 8 plus 5, break the 5 down into smaller numbers so it's easier to count in your head. So you could break down 5 into 2 plus 2 plus 1. So in your head, what will you do? 8, 10, 12, 13. Breaking down one of the numbers into smaller units that you can skip counts easily. Again, if you're doing this in your head, if you're doing it on paper, it's a similar strategy as using a number line. But again, that's another strategy. And finally, this should have been the first one. And when you're first in kindergarten, you're in preschool, you know what? There are different learners, and this will be absolutely a future episode on how we learn best. Where you can be a visual learner, you can be an auditory learner, right? You can see things and learn best by actually seeing them or listening, right? But certainly using manipulatives. It's a fancy word. Using blocks. Just get some counters together. Even counters, really. What's a counter? What's a manipulative? Just use blocks. Use anything that you can count, right? So if you have 8 of something and have 8 blocks there, then you're going to add 5 to 8, right? Have 5 blocks, and you can literally count. But for many children, especially early on, they'll see what they're actually expected to do going forward, and it really can be helpful. So, to wrap up our episode, we will have future episodes on the whole concept of place value, our number system, our base 10 number system, explaining that in simple terms. And we will have a companion episode to this one, is certain strategies to add 2-digit numbers. But for this episode, we'll cut it short, just 1-digit numbers, adding them together. So let's look at the top 7 strategies to add 1-digit numbers. So before we begin, if you disagree on this, if you wanted to add something to this, all feedback is welcome. Please reach out to me at kevmok21@gmail.com. Let me know if you disagree with this order. Let me know if there's other strategies that you have used, especially adults out there. And again, if you don't mind, give me a 5-star review. It helps for new people to find the podcast. And actually, if you're able to write a review, that would be really nice. So thank you. So here we go. The purpose of the top 7 is to be able to do these numbers, add these numbers in your head. So that informs the top 7. Start at number 7. Using hands-on items, manipulatives. I can't even say the word. Add blocks. Use hands-on strategies. Use something physical that you can add. So hands-on manipulatives. That's number 7. Number 6, Memorize. Yes, why is it so high in the list? Why is it not one of the best strategies? Because we're trying to figure out what we don't know. And if we already know it, we can't use these strategies. So yes, it is a strategy, but we're looking to be able to figure out something that we don't know. That's why it's high in the list. Number 5, use a number line. Why is this high? Because, again, it's going to be hard to visualize in your head, but certainly it is a strategy. An open number line. Start with the higher number on the number line and then count forward. Number 4, change the order. Definitely a simple strategy, especially early on with lower numbers that just don't look right. Change the order. Number 3, use doubles facts, especially when you have numbers that are close to each other. Double one of the numbers. Number 2, break apart one of the numbers. Get them so that you can count easily going forward. The lower numbers, especially since these are single-digit numbers, you can count by twos really quickly, and that will get you to the answer. But the number one strategy to add one-digit numbers, in my opinion, is make a 10. Go to the nearest 10. Change it into a 10. So 6 plus 8, change it to 10 plus 4. That will go a long way to helping you putting numbers together, scrambling them in your head. And the more you do this, the more you practice, friends, adults, and children, I'm convinced this is something that could be life-changing, and it will be with you all the time. Trust me, I walk into the grocery store and I'm trying to figure out what item is on sale, which item is cheaper, and I'm putting numbers in my head, and I just wish I was taught these strategies. When you get older, it's tougher to do. That has been another episode of the OK Book Club, where we dived into a different topic, not a story, not a book, but a topic. Thanks for staying with me, and keep learning.